Hey noobs, Mr. Frog here. Today, we're going to be taking a look at Mad Island, a new H survival game developed and published by eMade Plus. The game takes place on an unknown island after a group of friends end up stranded after their boat crashes and sinks. One of them then wakes up alone on the beach and finds another man who also claims to have previously gotten stranded with his friends as well. He warns that there is danger on the island though, and that his friends have been captured. The two of you then agree to try and help each other out to find your friends and escape the island. You are then free to start playing as either the male or female character, but you are not locked into either choice and can freely switch between the two as you please throughout the game. Each character will also have some of their own unique H scenes and interactions, but the male character will unfortunately have the majority of the H scenes. The game has an admittedly pretty quick start for the story, and after this you are pretty much free to play and progress as you please. As you explore the map, you will meet more characters and unlock more of the story as well. The map is quite large with a good amount of biome diversity as well, as the island contains mines, swamps, deserts, and forests to explore. The game doesn't really have a massive story focus, but there are an impressive amount of scenes and quests to unlock throughout the game and complete. Mad Island is definitely one of the longer H games I've played in quite some time, and will keep you busy for a long time if you want to see everything it has to offer. The gameplay and controls should feel familiar for most people experienced with survival games, with your primary focus in the beginning mostly being collecting supplies, crafting tools, and of course building up a base. You start out with nothing but sticks and stones, and slowly work your way up to increasingly more and more complicated tools and constructions. Most of the gameplay here should come naturally, with the only awkwardness probably coming from some of the UI design in the game, which can take a bit of time getting used to. Also, on note of the UI, I will mention that there are some small parts of the UI left untranslated. It is mostly minor things that really shouldn't ruin the game experience, but I do think it is worth mentioning if you're playing the game in English. The core gameplay isn't anything groundbreaking for the genre either, but it does work well enough and it is fun and satisfying to progress and build up your base. Most actions will also earn XP, which will level you up, and then you can use points to spend on attributes and various skill perks. This adds a nice RPG element of progression as well, which I did enjoy. There's a pretty good amount of decoration and customization options for both base building and characters as well, for those who like to spend extra time making a cool looking area. As for the combat, it does take a bit of time to get used to at first, but once you get the hang of it, it is enjoyable and does provide a decent amount of challenge. You can either choose to focus on building ranged weapons, such as bows and arrows, or going for a more direct approach with swords and spears. There's a good amount of weapon variety, and it's fun to switch around and try all of them out. The main challenge usually ends up trying to get your character to swing in the correct direction or properly register the enemy hitbox, but once you get used to it, it really isn't too bad. Aside from fighting enemies while exploring, they will also occasionally target a member of your party and raid your base, which you must then defend. The game also contains several boss fights, which I honestly found to be surprisingly well done. These bosses all have their own unique movesets, with a good amount of variety in enemy types as well. These boss fights are probably one of the best parts the game has to offer, and definitely one of my favorite aspects of the game overall. On another note of the controls, the game is technically fully one-hand playable, due to you only having to use your mouse for both movement and interacting, but I really can't recommend this as it can be a bit awkward, especially during combat, where you do not have as much control to easily hit and dodge. Nonetheless, it is possible if you are looking for a one-hand experience. Probably one of the more unique aspects of the game is that you are able to befriend the islanders you come across. You will need to provide them with whatever food they prefer to earn affinity points, and once you reach max affinity, you can then place them around your base and have them either follow you or have them perform tasks for you. This is a pretty cool aspect of the game, and adds a nice city simulation aspect, where you can basically begin to automate most things by having them do it for you, such as chopping wood or mining for stone. You can also have them join your party to follow you around and assist in combat, though I personally found them a bit more useful for gathering. Additionally, you can also romance the islanders as well, which leads us onto the real content of this game, the H content. The H content in Mad Island, to put it bluntly, is pretty hardcore. I definitely wouldn't recommend this game in any way to those who prefer lighter or more casual H content in their games. The H content can at times be pretty niche and is definitely more out there. The game really leans into the lawless island aspect and lets you do some pretty depraved and gruesome stuff if you want. There is, however, more normal H content as well, and to be honest, a lot of the more extreme stuff can be avoided by simply just choosing not to engage in it, but do be warned. Art-wise, the scenes are not really anything outstanding. They're pretty much just the character models as you see them normally, but the game does offer a lot of character customization, both through physical appearance as well as clothing options. The animations during the scenes as well are also smooth and do look pretty good. I think the real deal breaker will probably be if you are okay with some of the more hardcore content in the game, which you can kind of get a feel for by looking around on the game's Steam store page, as I definitely cannot show it to you on this channel. Overall, I do think Mad Island is a game worth checking out if you are at all interested in the survival genre, and have ever wondered what the forest would be like if it did in fact have H content. While it's not really a game for the faint of heart, the combat and crafting is satisfying, the RPG elements add a nice sense of progression with everything you do, and the village simulation aspect is both fun and engaging. The game is filled with a lot of content and should satisfy those who are looking for a longer game to sink their teeth into. With that being said, this game earns a solid Mr. Frog sip of approval. Have you played this game? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And if you'd like to see more H content, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Also, make sure to check out the Mr. Frog stream over on Twitch. Later, noobs.